Australian charities have raised more than $3 million in just weeks to support a growing humanitarian crisis rising across the Middle East, with a major $2 million boost from the Minderoo Foundation as aid agencies warn the situation is rapidly worsening. For more, let's bring in Kerren Morris from the Emergency Action Alliance in Sydney. Good to see you, Kerren. Talk to us about the surge in humanitarian needs across the Middle East.
Thanks, Aaron. We're seeing that this need is escalating by the day. The news seems to get worse and worse. It's gone into multiple countries now, from a region-specific now to a multi-country context. Many of these countries are already extremely vulnerable. They've already got significant displacement, and the need is great.
Yes, we saw the war in Gaza. There was a lot of talk about the humanitarian need, but not so much with this war. Much of it is focused on opening the Strait of Hormuz. So how critical is the timing of aid when responding to this fast escalating crisis?
Our members are already on the ground responding and have long-standing partnerships, but what they're seeing is that the need is so much beyond what they have the capacity currently to deliver, and that's the reason why it is so crucial to get extra resources mobilised for this crisis. We are seeing more and more reporting on the humanitarian needs. It is one of those situations that is affecting us right here at home, so we can understand people are concerned, unsure about how to help, but this is something that can make it much easier for people to know this is something I can do and this is something I can do today.
Yeah, Kerren, what are the biggest, pressure points in terms of displacement and access to essentials? What's happening on the ground?
It's different by context and region. In Gaza, of course, we know that there are limitations to the access of aid and the type of aid that can get through, but that doesn't mean that aid isn't getting through. There's a lot of collaboration and cooperation at those points at which aid can be accessed into Gaza, and we're pleased to see multi-agency responses there so that we can get food, resources, water, health and sanitation infrastructure into where it's needed. But of course, it's not just Gaza. We're also talking here about Lebanon, where we are seeing a huge displacement of people. Something like 1.1 million people have been forced from their homes, who are living now in makeshift shelters, in their cars, on the beaches. This is an inhumane situation that members are really responding and surging their support so that all of those people can find safety, they can find food and water, and their children can feel as though their lives are not at imminent risk.
And the aid agencies we talk about are trying to work around the politics with some pretty big personalities involved there as well. I'd imagine that makes it pretty tricky.
Well, absolutely. We try to avoid the politics and focus on the humanitarian needs. I think the fact that we do have our members who have been on the ground responding to this emergency since it began back in October 2023, but for decades before that, there's that assurance that they know the systems, the infrastructure, they know the community groups that are able to ensure that the people in greatest need will receive that support. All of those factors mean that we can just get on with the job and just make sure that those people are receiving the aid that they need. Importantly, it's not just one type of aid that everybody needs. Each different individual might have different needs. They might have shelter, but they just need access to fresh water. They might have food and water, but they need shelter or a roof over their heads. So these centres make sure that the individual needs of each individual or child or family are met.
Yes, obviously we're talking about people and everyone is different here, as would be their needs, as you mentioned. What role does coordinated fundraising actually play, Kerren, in delivering aid more effectively?
Well, our members have been raising funds for this emergency for at least 2 or 3 years individually. What we're seeing is that this is a moment where the gravity and the scale is such that we need to stand together on the fundraising side as well as on the work that we do on the ground. What that means is it makes it easier for Australians to know how to help, because it's one centralised fundraising mechanism. You give to the Emergency Action Alliance. The funds are distributed only to the members responding on the ground and those best placed to respond in the countries and the contexts that they are currently operating. It can be overwhelming to know, with so many charities, with so much need, what can I do to help?
I mentioned in my introduction there about one of the large-scale donations, but how important are large-scale donations in trying to accelerate the overall response here?
Incredibly important. This is a significant changing event for us to receive this contribution from Minderoo Foundation, not just in terms of the face value of the $2 million contribution, but also the signal that it sends to other corporates and other foundations that may have been thinking, what can we do to help? What is a safe way? It tells them that this is a great way that you can contribute to this emergency. Large-scale gifts mean that we just have so much more room to move, flexibility with how we assist, and more agencies receive the funds that they need to expand their work on the ground.
Obviously, Australia is just one part of the global fabric of aid agencies that are helping there. Talk to us about what happens after people donate. What is happening with the money? How does it get dispersed? How does it get to the people who need it?
The dispersion of the funds is quite rapid, and it goes through a well-established allocation mechanism, which is based on each member's capacity to respond. We've been using this allocation model now in 4 appeals, and it's worked effectively each time. What it means is that those larger organisations will receive a larger proportion of the funds because that links to their capacity to actually use those funds on the ground. This is a multi-agency response, as we know, but it's not just Australia, it's all the countries that are also responding. So this is a worldwide effort, and every cent around the world is needed to help these people who are affected by this conflict.
We reported here at Ticker with your colleagues when you first all came together, obviously just a few weeks back, to talk about this. Talk to us. I know this isn't the first time there's been a multi-agency approach to a tragedy or an event unfolding as well. Talk to us about, I guess, some of the benefits of doing it this way as opposed to the different agencies working individually.
I think one of the main reasons this is an effective way of working is that it makes it easier for Australians to know how to help that confusion, that uncertainty, give to this mechanism, and you know that the instrument itself ensures that the funds go to the people most affected. And that, I think, takes away that kind of confusion and that moment of hesitation, and means that people can respond quickly, and those funds will go to our members. And it's also really important to know that this is a truly trusted mechanism in the sense that all of our members are DFAT accredited. They perform to the highest standards of humanitarian response. Funds that are received will go exactly to where they're needed in a safe and reliable way.
Yeah, and you were talking earlier about the idea of foundations and larger, I guess, corporations getting involved here as well and looking to that $2 million donation. How important is it that corporates get behind, projects like this one to make sure that they are assisting? Because at the moment, a lot of Australians are dealing with rising prices, obviously at the petrol bowser, and perhaps and even their houses thanks to mortgage costs. And they might be reluctant to donate. So how important is it to make sure that corporates are playing their part too?
Well, I think corporates obviously have to think about their brand and their visibility, and when they make a contribution like this, whether it's a public contribution or a private contribution, because some of our major donors choose not to be identified and thanked publicly, is to know that this is a mechanism that has had such rigorous checks and measures behind it that organisations such as Minderoo Foundation are willing to contribute to it. Organisations such as, in fact, the Australian government, which has contributed to a few of our appeals historically, have no hesitation in contributing to this, because they know that this works. They know that this is a safe way. And it's also, I think, efficiency. And I think corporates like to talk about efficiency and how money is being well spent and that there's no wastage. And I think when we see that members are responding collectively, a lot of that duplication is eradicated. And I think corporates will like the fact that this is a highly efficient model and speaks to more money get to where it's needed rather than being tied up in administration. And
Kerren, just quickly, the website again for people to donate?
It's emergencyaction.org.au, or you can call 1300 939 000. Emergencyaction.org.au is the website to donate.
All right. Appreciate your insights and your efforts, Kerren. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Aaron.